Hello!
Hello.
Hello!
We're going to talk about how the performing arts industry affects mental health and answer some of your questions. Oh, that's as good as it's going to get.
No, I like that. That was good.
Okay. You were in the main company of Western Kids. And when I was in training. And then you left Maine.
Yes.
And then I got moved up to Maine.
Yeah.
So we never
just
really
missed each other.
Yeah. I remember when I first met you, I was like, oh my god, she's so positive, like, she's so bubbly, like, how is she that bubbly all the time?
Yeah.
Like, I was a bit like, whoa, like, I want to be that positive. Little did I know.
Little did you know. I think that's why it took so long to diagnose, is because I would be great to be around in social situations, and I work really hard and very proactive, enjoy the jobs that I do, and my parents couldn't understand that when I was coming home I was really down, really down, and a couple of bad relationships kind of pushed me and tipped me over the edge. And I remember going to my doctor's surgery, and again my doctor dismissed it. And I think it is so hard when you like, naturally you feel like you're a positive person. It's like you're not allowed to have down days, and like it went like undiagnosed and misdiagnosed for so long that no one knew what it was. They knew that I had so much energy that it wasn't always coming out in a way I intended, and I wasn't always feeling, it was either one extreme or the other. I think that was the problem, is that I was never kind of settled. It was always really best day ever, or it was the worst day ever.
Yeah, it's either like the highest highs or the lowest lows.
Yeah.
There's no in between.
Yeah, and there really
that was
wasn't.
the same with me.
Yeah.
So how long did it take for you to get diagnosed?
I reckon about 5 years. About 5 years. It all kicked off when I was about 20 or 21, and I moved to Guildford, and I just lost all sense of like belonging and like who I was and what I was doing. Obviously starting drama school was difficult, and I wanted to be in London. All my friends were in London, and it just totally threw me threw me out. And when I came home after that year, that was it then. It was fully with me, whatever it was. It fully like manifested. But yeah, again, it went maybe that a year or so after that, I went to the doctors, and my doctor said, in not so many words, this is attention seeking and she should call the Samaritans. Who are great. Like,
but I don't understand why GPs just automatically jump to that conclusion.
Gave me a phone number. Yeah. So, yeah.
It's like, it takes so much courage to actually go to the GP to talk about this stuff.
And I didn't want to go.
And then they just dismiss it.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of times at first when I was ringing up the doctors and not turning up to appointments, because like, it seems like at the time when I was booking the appointments, like, okay, I've got the courage to do this. And when it comes to the day, and it's like, no, I can't even get out of bed. There's no way I'm walking into the doctor's surgery.
Yeah, and no wonder there's such a stigma around it when like the healthcare professionals are not talking about it.
Yeah. And they just brush it off. And at first, when I went, I was 14, and I was getting like panic attacks and like just general anxiety. And they just said it's probably just like school stress. And I knew that it wasn't just school stress. That it was like, that's what they pinned it down to. Oh, it must be stress. You're only young. It's probably stress. And then it took till I was...
But that panic attacks isn't like stress. That's not like worrying about an exam. Panic attacks are like
different. And
emotion.
It wasn't like, oh, I've got an exam tomorrow, I'm stressed. It was just anything, like going to the shops. I'd just completely like break down. Then I had that thing with the bus where I couldn't get on the bus, and
yeah.
I just felt really overwhelmed by getting on a bus. Like little things like that isn't stress.
No, yeah, you're right. That's a red flag.
Yeah.
Like these are all kind of part and parcel of it.
But because I was young, they didn't want to diagnose me and like tell me it was something. And then a couple of years later, they diagnosed me with depression, anxiety and OCD, which is wrong because that's not what I'm diagnosed with now. And then when I was 18, I got diagnosed with bipolar, and that's been my diagnosis ever since. And I feel like that does fit.
Yeah.
I feel like that's right.
Since having my therapist, she's it's anxiety and depression. And when I went back to my doctors, my GP with that, and said these are the drugs she's recommended, my GP rolled her eyes and was like, no, I won't put you on escitalopram, I'll give you citalopram. And I said, my therapist said you would say that, because because it's cheaper. And actually escitalopram's specifically what my therapist wanted me to have. So I said, like, she said that I need this, and she literally went, and when I went back, she said, are you still taking these? Because actually you're a bit too young to have depression.
What?
I came out and cried. I literally was like, I just came out and cried.
You're too young to have depression?
Yeah, too young. You're a bit too young to have depression. As in, like, your life should be great, you're in your 20s, like...
That's another misconception as well, like, so many things can be going great in your life, but, like...
Yeah, it's not...
You're still ill.
Yeah.
It's not like...
It's not dependent on your situation or your age. What? I just literally was like...
ridiculous.
Yeah, that really hit me. I was like, I'm never seeing that witch again. So
that is awful.
Yeah, like, I just think if I was a different person, I would have come out of there and gone, oh yeah, I should come off my meds, and gone nuts. Like,
yeah.
If I was a weaker minded person, like, I might have been like, oh,
or
well, my doctor
like
knows.
A specifically tough day that day.
Yeah. I could not believe it's that you doubt yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, if a doctor's telling me I don't need them.
Problem.
Yeah. But again, she doesn't know me. My therapist talks to me for an hour every 3 weeks. So, like, who's actually going to know what I need? So it is bizarre. And that's, again, why no one kind of comes forward and says, oh, yeah, I suffer with that. It's because the reaction is not normal.
Yeah.
I saw a great, what is it, like a mental health like quote or like a meme maybe.
Yeah.
But it was a guy saying, like, I don't feel well today, my mental health's bad, and I really need help. I think that was it. And it's the other person says, oh, don't worry, it's just in your head. And then the little cartoon underneath is someone drowning, and then the same person is saying, don't worry, the drowning's just in your chest. Like, it's the same.
I've seen so many like that.
So
and it's
good.
like if we treated physical illness like we treat mental illness.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I've got a broken leg. Oh, don't worry, you can still go to work.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. What the hell?
But with mental illness, it's like, it's harder because people can't actually see it. But it's you knowing that you're dealing with it. Like, if it is a broken arm, it's a lot easier for people on the outside to be like, okay, you've got a broken arm. That's okay.
And to get the right care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they don't know
And
what's
right
going
help.
on in your head, so it freaks people out.
Yeah. Yeah, people are scared of it. People are scared of when you admit it and how to deal with it and how to treat you.
So we've got a few questions from people asking about mental illness, if we've got any tips, advice, things like that. So someone on Instagram asked, seeing as we both have experience in the performing arts industry, how do you think it aids or poorly affects mental health? That's like one of the reasons I left college.
Yeah.
Because it was ruining my mind. With like an eating disorder background as well, that wasn't good for my mind.
It doesn't help, no.
And rejection is tough, and
I feel like there's the two sides of it. There is the, or maybe three. It's definitely the image. It's so image based, and even as Pia started in musical theatre and I do more kind of straight acting, now directing, writing, but even in that there was an image thing, and there's a certain way that you should look for certain roles, and I felt that quite heavily when I was at drama school and then kind of coming out into the world. And then I feel there's that side of you that always has to be working and always has to be switched on and always available and always like capable and up for the job. And I think in every other industry maybe there isn't that insane pressure to be... I remember at college being told that if you're doing panto and you're not feeling very well, you're sick in a bucket at the side of the stage. Like,
you don't get a day off from
no.
this. Like, we were talking about that briefly earlier.
Yeah, your mind doesn't rest ever because you are always looking for that next job, always applying for that next thing, writing to industry professionals. So it's that. I think it's a mixture of always having to be working, body image, and then the rejection. Like, just being told no all the time is hard.
Yeah.
Because it's you as a person that's being told no to constantly.
Teachers and industry people are always like, okay, you must look like this. For this role you need to be this size, and it was never what I fitted. I didn't fit any of that criteria. Like, there was no one that wanted a 5'1" short girl for any roles.
And that is starting to change now. Luckily, I think people are picking up on that, and it's not. It used to be, you have to be like the 5'8" stick thin chorus girl, and I think it's changing. I think it is getting better. But I think we both went to drama schools in a time where that was just about to change, so we didn't have the good kind of side of it yet. And it is, I definitely think it's changing because people are taking mental health more seriously.
Yeah, and I remember as well this was when I was at dance school, not dance college, we had like a tech run like 3 days before the show, and she made us all just stand in leotards and just look in the mirror and just tell us, like, look at yourselves, the show's in 3 days. And we were all like, okay. And at this time I was already like, I already had bulimia, like, I didn't need to make it worse. So I feel like people just put unnecessary pressure on you. Like, you obviously know you've got to look a certain way. Hi, buddy.
Hi.
You obviously know you've got to look a certain way and like fit that like ideal image, but like sometimes it's just unrealistic, and it is hard to put that much pressure on yourself, and it's
damaging.
Yeah,
really damaging. Mine was actually the opposite, as in when I finished drama school and didn't have an agent and didn't kind of get any auditions, that's when I lost a hell of a lot of weight and was not eating. And it was a way of maintaining control because I couldn't find control within my career. So I took control in another way. So it's really like...
in your eating habits.
Yeah, like luckily I didn't have anyone be like, you're too fat for a job. Like, but it went, the control, what I could control was what I was eating, and that felt like the only thing in life that I had a grasp on because the career is so unstable. No security. Yeah, so there's different ways it can affect you, I think. I don't feel like that would have happened to me if I wasn't trying to be an actor.
Yeah. I feel like because I literally started acting when I was like 5. And like I was doing like extra bits in films when I was like young. So I feel like I'd grown up with that, and it's never that much pressure when you're a kid. And so I thought the industry was very much like, oh, you're a cute child, like.
Yeah.
But it's not.
And then where do you fit? Like once you get out of one casting bracket, it's working out where you fit, and it's constantly that.
As an adult, like it's hard to find yourself.
Yeah.
When you've constantly been put in a little bubble of like, oh, you're a child actress, and then suddenly you're meant to be in the industry and know what you're doing, and it's harder as an adult. I left college, and then about 2 months later I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing with myself. Like, I've left college, I'm not working. I did actually start working, but then got signed off because I was literally there for like a month. I got signed off because I just wasn't, I couldn't cope with it. And I was just like in a rut, like, oh, I don't know what I'm really doing with my life. Do I want to perform? Do I want to, I don't know what I was doing. Didn't want to get out of bed like most days, and you were just like, okay, well, I've got this thing you can help me with. And I was just like, okay, yeah. And it got me out of the house, and it got me back into like life again. And that was like a massive turning point, because for ages I was just like by myself and my thoughts and not doing anything to change any aspect of my life. So you really helped me with that,
and I'd definitely been there through that, like, do I want to be an actor thing? And I think that's what I saw. I saw that I'd been stuck in that for a really long time, and it made me quite ill. So I didn't want you to have that happen. Like, and you literally sit on your own going, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. And it's like, you that doesn't really mean anything. Like that.
And I think it was weird for me because I'd literally been doing this since I was like 5 years old, and I never wanted to be anything else. That's all I wanted to ever do, and it was just kind of like, well, I invested all that time in something that I'm not even gonna pursue as a career. And but then I was helping you out, which helped me out.
Yeah, and I think in terms of having people who understand each other, it definitely, because a lot of my friends, I've got a really quite good support network of people around me, but there are a few people in my life that I'm very close to that have a complete different way of thinking, and it's really linear and really logical. So me to them is terrifying because I have so many
the way that they think.
They think, we have different, and they'd be like, why are you crying? And I'd be like, I don't know. And they'd be like, no, you must know. What is it?
There must be a reason.
Yeah. No, there's no reason. I'm just not very well. Like, why? What's wrong? So to actually have someone that has that as well was really, really helpful to we did support each other quite well, I think.
I think it was like a couple of months later after that, then I was like, yeah, my life's going great, this is good. And then I had one day where I had to fill out that chaperone form, and I was like, I can't do it, and it was something stupid. Like, as soon as I got well again, like, I filled it out, and I was like, wow, this is what drove me to going into A&E. Like, cool.
Yeah.
But like, at the time, it seemed so hard, and like it just seemed like so much pressure, and it was so daunting. Like,
it's funny what can trigger you. Like, the littlest thing can trigger you, and I think to know that that's okay. I was saying earlier about expectations is my thing. Like, if I expect the day to go a certain way and it doesn't, I start to lose like sense a bit. But yeah, it is knowing the little things that can trigger you, and it's okay, and how do you return to like that same state, that like calm state. How do you get it back?
And sometimes there's not even a thing that does get it back, it's just waiting it out, which is the hardest thing, because it's like, how long's this one gonna last?
Yeah.
Like, how long's this low gonna be? And
yeah,
it is difficult.
It's weird. I had one last night after I finished speaking to you, and I lost it for a good hour and a half, maybe, just pacing. Like, it was like a tiger in a cage, and I looked up one-bedroom flats. I went and laid down next to my cat on the floor. Like, it's just, and then after a while it did just pass, and I was like, oh, I can go to bed now. But it literally was like cage tiger. Like, I was just pacing about and just couldn't get a grip on how I was feeling.
Yeah.
And it comes in waves, and you just don't know.
Like, the other night I felt
gonna be
really low as well, and I was just like, what is the point? Like, there's no point in this anymore. And I'm so glad I waited it out, because the next morning I was so manic, and it was just like, wow, like, it's your brain just like switches so quickly.
Yeah.
But like, sometimes you don't know how long it's gonna last. Sometimes it lasts a day, sometimes it lasts months. Like,
yeah.
But
and then you just feel that when it drops, and you're like, oh,
wow,
I can sleep now. Yeah, I can. Yeah, it really is so hard to like explain and to get a grip on if you don't feel like it.
Yeah, and it always feels like it's the end of the world when you're going through it. And then you look back and you're just like,
I survived that. Yeah.
Yeah. When I'm manic, I am impulsive as fuck. Like, I book trips. I went to the barbers before and was just like, I want to shave my head, and I'm so glad I didn't.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't.
I look so weird bald. But like, or I'll get tattoos, and like, I just want to change stuff, or like, I want to create, and like, I live for those days.
And you're right, it's so impulsive, and it's so like all or nothing.
Yeah, but I think that's why I like being manic so much, because you get such a rush of like doing all these things. You have all the energy to do all these things, and like, other times when you wake up in the morning, you're literally just like, I can't even go downstairs to like cook anything to eat, or like, I've got to have a shower today, that's too much of my energy. Like, there's days like that. And then, buddy, you're actually being very loud. I feel like it does affect mental health massively, and not just with eating as well, just like the long hours, not having a day off.
Yeah, and feeling like you can't take time off because they might give the opportunity to someone else, or someone else might go to that audition and get it, and then you lose out. You know, you feel like you can't take a day to just rest. There's always something else to be applying for. I passed out once on the toilet floor before I played Aladdin in a pantomime, and I went on and did the show. Yeah. Unrealistic
expectations. Like, no one would do that in a 9 to 5
No, show. No. And when my granddad died last year, I did a show the day after. It just don't end.
Yeah.
And again, like, I was the understudy, I wanted to do it. Like, there's no way I would have been like, I'm not doing that. But there's also that feeling of you can't let people down, and someone else will just go on for you. Yeah, it's bad. You're totally replaceable, and that obviously doesn't do anything for self-love. Like.
Yeah, I feel like the industry is good if you're very confident and you love yourself, and like, nothing can ever get to you. That kind of person, I think, fares really well. I feel like if you already have problems anyway, I just feel like the industry's bad for that. I'm not saying it's impossible, like, you're still coping.
Yeah, And I think my biggest coping mechanism, annoyingly, is to work extra hard. So I'm kind of doubly worn out because the way I justify it to myself, and when I'm feeling bad, is I start writing a play, or I start a new business, or I'm very bad for like working when I should be resting, and I cover up my mental health problems with successes, or what other people would perceive as successes. Each time I do something and people are like, that's amazing that you've done that. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm always looking for the next thing.
Yeah, like you kind of want the recognition, but it's like, but I haven't done the best I can do.
Yeah, there's still more. There's still, and again, it's totally a distraction from whatever I'm feeling. Is to, if I'm not feeling good about something, I'll send out some applications, or I'll write a play, or look for new projects to direct. I'm always working, and that is how I cope, I think.
But then sometimes, does it not just get too much that you're just like, I can't?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And it's like, what's the point? It gets to a stage where you spread yourself so thin that it's like, what's the point? Because nothing's good. So it's learning what to say yes to, what to say yes to.
And putting like 100% of your energy into one thing instead of like 20% of your energy into little things.
Yeah, having like a focus and priorities, rather than, if I cast out this big net, something's going to come back.
Another question that we get asked is how to cope with rejection and how to not let it affect you. So do you want to chat about how you deal with that? Yeah.
So I used to really let the rejection kind of hit me. It took me ages to get into drama school. So I feel like, and that's a real like comment on you, because you're not auditioning for a part, or you're not auditioning for a character.
You're auditioning to be trained
as yourself. Like, here's some monologues I've prepared, that I've chosen, that I've worked on. It's literally I felt like it was a real comment on my ability and my talent. And it's only very recently, through sitting on panels, and I actually coach people with drama school auditions now, because I know how awful they can be. I also know how brilliant they can be, but I know how awful they can be.
And exposing.
And so
like literally just going in as you.
Yeah, being like, hi, this is me, do you want to work with me?
Yeah.
It's only from doing that I've kind of realised that talent obviously comes into play, skill comes into play, who you are as a person obviously does come into play, but loads of people are talented, and loads of people are great to be around, great to work with, loads of people have got real potential, but it is a lot of luck, and it is a lot of, alright, someone might be slightly better than you, but it doesn't mean that you're not good, you know? I think it is, but also you're auditioning at drama school to be trained. If you were good already, you'd go straight into the industry, which is kind of what I ended up doing, because I didn't get into the schools I wanted to go to. I took a year out and then was like, I'm going to do this myself. But I think that rejection, once you realise it's not personal, and it's really not as much as you think it is, it does get a bit easier. And especially as a writer as well, I send scripts off all the time. So I get rejection emails from things I don't even remember applying for, and I'm like, oh, I didn't get it. And I'm like, I don't know what it was. But at least with auditions, you're physically in the room, and you go through the day and you meet the people, and then you get the no, and it's like, or you don't hear.
Or sometimes you get a yes.
Yeah, and sometimes you do get the yes, or sometimes you get called the day before and say, we don't have an understudy, can you be our understudy? That's happened to me a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, which is nice, but yeah, it is. And again, a lot, like for some roles I've not got the job outright, because they know that I can cover it. So they know that I know the show, or I know the company, so they'll get me in before Tech Week. So rejection isn't always like the no, you're not good enough. I think that's what we forget as performers. And obviously it does all chip away. And that's what my therapist said to me. She was like, I can't see how someone in your career gets rejections all the time without it taking its toll at some point. So like, I think it is okay to feel it and to feel sad, but to know it's not a reflection on you. And it's not, about how good you are. Because a lot of the time we don't get it, because the guy they want to cast opposite us is 6 foot and I'm 5'2", so like, don't work out. I think what you said earlier about the casting brackets is important too, and sussing out where you fit. That kind of eliminates kind of needless rejection. If you know where your what your abilities are and your look is and where your skills are, that eliminates rejection. I can't think of anything worse than buddy scratching at the door.
I can't think of anything worse than buddy scratching at the door.
So many of my friends that are actors, or people I know that are actors, that try writing, but because they're bored, and it's like, oh, we don't have anything to do, and it's like, unless you're doing like script writing courses or seeing lots of plays, reading lots of plays, like you don't just become a writer overnight.
Yeah.
So it is knowing what your skills are, and that will strip back any kind of needless rejection. Like I would never be like, oh, I'm a choreographer, you know?
I would never go for an audition for Lion King. Like,
it's
that.
Like, just know what you're going for. Yeah.
We've spoken a lot about like what we can, and trying to keep it as brief as possible. Even though I'm such a rambler.
Yeah.
I just ramble and ramble. Like, what was my point I was making?
Love talking.
I know a lot of people that I speak to are like 14, 15, 16, going into like auditioning for dance college and stuff like that, and don't know how to deal with rejection from that.
Yeah.
Like before they even get into the industry. So maybe that helps someone. And I just want to add as well that if you're feeling like you need help, go and see someone, and don't stop it just because it's not helping the first time.
And don't let people let you brush it under the carpet. Like, your feelings are valid.
Yeah.
Just because it's not, whether it's big trauma or little trauma, whatever it is, it's if it's making you feel a certain way, then act on it. Because I used to think, oh, well, I'm not as bad as someone else.
Yeah,
and that's
always
not
comparing. But like, your feelings, you are feeling them for a reason. If you've got any questions or you want to know a little bit more about either of us and how we cope and how sometimes we don't cope, then
just often we don't cope. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, even though I'm trying to work on a better life and like trying to live well with mental illness, like there's still tough times. It's not like I'm like cured, because that's not realistic.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the same with you. Like, you learn to just live with it, and just sometimes it's more difficult than other times. But if you do feel like you need to seek help, and the first therapist that you go to isn't very good, or the first psychiatrist that you see, or the first GP, then just stick with it, because there are people out there that will work for you, and you just got to find the right
one.
one.
Elsewhere.
And find the right medication, and it's all possible, but you just got to stick with it.